All right, and we are recording. Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Field NFL. I'm Jack, and this is Shane. Shane, how you doing today?
Hey man, doing good. I think this will be an interesting discussion. I think AFC showed our outlooks on teams were rather different. I think NFC is going to be just as polarizing, if not more so polarizing, with some of these teams. Where I know I have a pretty strong opinion, as do you. So I'm
Yeah,
really interested to see where that's at.
definitely, man. I mean, like you and I were saying, like before we recorded, it's like this one might be a little bit quicker because there's a bit more concise thoughts on these. But it's weird because I think the AFC had a lot of teams that loaded up on one side of the ball, whether offense or defense. But I feel like the NFC had more drafts that felt more well-rounded. Like to me, it felt like the AFC. A lot of the teams were going for, oh my God, we can just get the most value out of insert these five picks that are all
Right.
offensive, whether it's like guards, receivers, whatever, tight ends. And it felt like the NFC was a lot of like, oh, this player fell outside of the top 100. Well, we're just going to take him. Or,
Let's
oh,
go
this guy
for
fell.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like this guy fell out of the top 50. We don't care. We're taking him. Great value.
Right.
So it's like, it's interesting the difference there. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. So I think we're going to start here with my New York Giants, man.
Where else would we start?
Where else would we? So I mean, I'll start off with this one just because I do have a lot of opinions. So I would say coming into this draft, I was always focused on the number five pick, right? That was the big conversation. There was part of me that was getting ready to be like, they're probably going to take a Maui Noah here because of the way that Harbaugh is, right? And I like Maui Noah, which we'll get into in a second here, but there's better value on the board to me. To me, I like Maui Noah, but he projects as a guard. Uh, but to me, when I look at the rest of this guard and tackle class, I do not think the level of quality difference from a guy like Maui Noah to a Proctor, if you wanted to throw him at guard, which seems to be the plan for Miami, to then like a Kalen Rutledge late in the first, or a Blake Miller, or some of these guys that come out in the beginning of the second round, Emmanuel Pregnon. I don't think there's that big of a gap between those guards and tackle prospects. Don't get me wrong, the top guys in this class are very legit. It's just not to the point that I'm like, oh my God, this has to be a top 10 pick for me. I really just don't think it is. And so for a while with this class, and especially with the thought of them getting Maui Noah, I was like, like I don't hate the player, just think you could get better value out of here, but it's who Harbaugh is. But then obviously they trade Dexter Lawrence, which is now a giant hole on their defense. It can't be overstated how bad that is. But they get the 10 pick out of it, and with that they get like the best thing ever, and Arvell Reese falls to them, which is an unbelievable home run. I've seen so many people like, well, they already have so many edges. Do we have to do this every year where we pretend that like football is not like a multifaceted sport? Well, they already have other edges. He's a linebacker, man. He's gonna play the will, and then he'll sometimes rush. They'll do hybrid stuff. They're gonna drop him into coverage sometimes, and then sometimes they're gonna do something where someone else drops into coverage and then he rushes. That's what defenses do nowadays. I don't know why we act like this is such a hard question. Like when people were bringing this up, I was like, "What are we doing, man? It's 2010 or something. Like, why are we like why are we asking these questions, man? It's like last year when they got Carter and they're like, but now they have three edges. I'm like, wait till you learn teams use three edges. like they use three edges, man. I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you. So I
Oh
love the
no, but the
Reese.
seventh round darling, Jack. What will we do without him on
Oh
our
no,
team?
you're
You can't
so
just you
right.
can't just cut that guy for Arvell Reese.
I know, dude. He's so legit though. Like,
Yeah.
give him a chance. But like, yeah, I loved the Reese pick, man. I thought that was an A plus. I didn't think that was in the cards. I didn't think that would happen. I thought it would be
Right.
some styles or something like that. Now, I do love the Maui Noah pick. He's going to be a very good player. Like, I think his ceiling as a guard's elite. But I've said this before. You passed up on Caleb Downs to get him, and with that, you let Caleb Downs go to your divisional rival. And I'm sorry. I love Maui Noah
Uh,
as a player.
yeah.
Downs was a better player. He just straight up was. And with that, I think the combination of Reese and Downs is an unbelievable force multiplier. Unbelievable force multiplier to your defense. And just doing that for the sake of being like, well, we got this really good guard. It's like I would have way rather you took Downs right here and then taken like Emmanuel Pregnon in the second. That would have been like
That's who I was going to say. That's exactly the
beautiful.
player I was going to name as well.
Right. Yeah. And I think that would have been perfect. And like, listen, he's a good player. Maui is a good player. So it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like a failure by any means because he's going to be a good player. And I see the vision for what they're doing. So I don't want it to sound like this is like the worst choice ever, but it is like, man, you will be haunted for the entirety of Caleb Downs' career of like that guy over in Dallas is there because of us. So I think that's
Undeniably.
Yeah, I just think that's important to note for the rest of the entirety of the time that he's going to have his career. It's just going to be a factor. Colton Hood, love the value there. I've said before in some of the Colton Hood videos I've made, I worry about him in zone coverage. I think he's very sticky in man, but they run a lot of man in Tennessee, so I wonder about what that's going to look like when he has to face more zone coverage.
Right.
I think he can adapt and figure it out. I think he could easily just be like our corner one, like day one, So I do really like the pick. It's just you have to worry about some of those things, right? Malachi Fields, I did not love trading 2 fourths for him.
Yeah,
That was
right.
not.
I know you talked on draft night pretty passionately about not loving the Malachi Fields pick. I personally feel a lot more neutral on that one than you do negative. I think that guy could be a player for you long term and almost immediately as well in that room.
Yeah. Well, what I'll say about Fields is like I know the vision in mind for him, right? I think he's going to be you call it a sacrificial X receiver. And that's basically just like a guy who eats grass, but is not really going to get the ball. But maybe in those volatile, deep moments, he will. I think Romeo Dobbs can sometimes be a sacrificial X. Uh,
Used to be.
Elek, yeah, Elek Umanor was kind of that, but he's kind of not really an X receiver. He's not really that physical for it. So it's like it's like a very specific role of an X receiver.
Right.
You just want to be a guy who eats space and takes up other defenders, and but you have to be a good press beater, and I think Fields is. I just don't think he can very much separate well. I'm not a big fan of his separation skills, but he's got great contested catch skills, and I think specifically with Dart, they're going to use them a lot on those back shoulder throws where they're just meant to be 50-50 balls, like. You're not really counting on Malachi Fields to burn a guy up the seam or burn a guy out wide. It's very much specifically for the fact of, hey, let's just throw a 50-50 ball. We're at the 30-yard line. Let's just see if he catches it. You know what I mean? Your end zone 50-50 ball winner. And then it also opens up space for more physical corners to deal with him while Neighbors gets to do other stuff. Maybe deploy him at Z, all that kind of stuff. So I get the vision for sure. It's not the worst thing ever. I get it. I just didn't like trading up for him. That's where the concern happened for me. If they got him where he landed a little bit later, I'd be like, sweet. Trading up for him, don't love that. Bobby Jamison Travis. He's just going to be a giant body on the defensive line. I don't know what his outlook looks like, but he's just going to be a big
Yeah.
body that could do
Run
something.
stuffer, I would say.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
JC Davis. JC Davis, a lot of his tape was bad, I'll be honest with you. But I do think he's a huge guy that absolutely can project as a guard. At tackle, this brother kind of stinks. Swing tackle, I'm like, all right. Guard, I
I'm
actually
moved. I am
he
moved.
guard, I am moved. I am actually pretty moved at him as guard. I think if you line him up at guard, and then you have John Michael Schmitz at center, and then you have Maui Noah at left guard, and then Illuminor and Andrew Thomas out at tackle. That's a that's a good line. That's a
Yeah.
good line, man. That's a good line. And then they drafted the greatest player ever because he has my exact name, Jack Kelly. That's my name. So I loved that. It was so funny too because I remember seeing him on the boards and I was like, when he gets picked, I'm gonna go like me, like when he gets picked,
Yeah.
I'm like me.
Yeah.
But then I didn't expect the Giants specifically to draft him. So like years
You have
ago,
no choice but to get that jersey now, too.
oh, dude, for sure, for sure. And the funniest thing is, maybe like 4 years ago, I got added to. No, I think genuinely, this was 2017. I think it was. I got added to a group chat of a bunch of guys named Jack Kelly, and I haven't texted that group chat since 2017. The last message I sent was just like, "Oh, what's your names? This and that." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm 14," because I was 14. I'm 23. So like, this is a minute ago, almost 10 years ago. And so I text that chat
Oh,
and
my gosh.
I'm like, hey, we're looking up, guys. Hey, things are looking up, man. I had to check to see was he one of the Jacks in the
Yeah,
draft? And he was.
maybe he was one of the Jack Kellys
He
in the chat.
maybe, man, maybe. And they're just all going back and forth, like, first guy in, last guy out, real lunch pail guy, real.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean. Maybe not the
Shame on
best.
you boys. Do it
Yeah,
different,
sneaky athletic, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But unironically, good run defender, man. I actually think he could be a pretty solid linebacker when I was watching his tape. Very burly, really good play speed, super
Drafted a
aggressive.
lot later than I think a lot anticipated as well.
Yeah, I think you were saying you thought he'd maybe be a Steelers guy.
I did think that the Steelers had him on their radar, especially with how, depending on how you look at the linebacker room, I guess you could see it as a future problem. I see it as a more short term than long term problem just because of all the rumors around Patrick Queen and everything. Seems
For
like
sure.
they've kind of settled there and they're going to stick it out till the end of that contract, the end of this year.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. I've heard rumors of an extension. I don't know how they feel about that, but I thought Jack Kelly definitely could have been a guy they looked at round 5, round 6. But you guys got him late round 6, a
Yeah.
lot earlier than or a lot later, excuse me, than I thought he would have been going.
Pick 193, man. Pick 193. That's like really good value. So
Can't
I was
complain
a
with that.
no, you can't. I was a fan of the Giants draft. I give it a, I would say B plus. You know what I mean? Because I think there was a few areas of value where I'm like, not bad pick, but
Yeah.
maybe didn't play the board the best. But overall, fine. I don't know how you personally overall felt about this class.
I think B plus is a perfect description for it. Now, the only thing holding it back from that A territory was going Maui Noah over Downs and letting Downs fall to Dallas. And I think that brings the grade down a little bit for me because now that's a guy you got to deal with for the next decade.
Yes.
And it's your own doing.
Yeah.
And that this is a guy that I think on tape and projection wise projects to be an all pro, possible Hall of Fame safety. So obviously a lot has to go right for that to occur, but he is in a great system and he is going to stand out immediately in that
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, he's probably going to be the captain of that defense very
It would
soon. I mean,
not surprise me.
yeah, not surprising at all. And he brings a lot of pieces of Dallas, which is why I think it's actually pretty good transition into the Dallas Cowboys. Um, I can go first on this if you want to.
I mean, quickly, I just have to say, what a draft.
Yeah,
Probably best case scenario. Hate to say it, but the Jones boys cooked. I was kind of ripping on the trades at first that they were doing, and I'm like, they're kind of like not sure what they want to do.
they're
And the
like
fact that
BSing.
they,
Yeah,
I'll get on my soapbox for a second here because I'll get a little bit more passionate when we talk about the freaking Eagles. But I will say, for the Jones boys to be doing business with the Philadelphia Eagles to begin with was borderline disgusting, sacrilegious. All right. I can't imagine the Steelers even calling the Ravens about their first round pick. It's the last team either are going to help. Now that I'm
I
past that,
I
great
completely
class.
agree. I kept
Malachi
wondering to
Lawrence and
myself.
Downs. What a
I kept
great haul out of the first round.
Yeah, I kept wondering to myself why that trade happened, but I was like, all right. But as we talked about before, Downs. I mean, there's not enough I can say. He was my highest grade player in this class, next to Reese. Like
Oh,
he's
easily. Easily.
his his projection's like a Hall of Famer. like this is some of the most incredible safety film I've ever watched. Like there's not enough to say about that pick.
And you just
Um,
let the Dallas Cowboys have it. And then,
yeah,
did they screw up the rest of the picks? Not really. I mean, you followed up Malachi Lawrence getting back into the first round there. And then you got Barham, who I think a lot of people thought would go a little bit higher than he ended up going. So I think they got great value. And I think that was like 95, 92, something like
and they're
that.
gonna play,
Somewhere
and they're
somewhere
gonna
in the
play him.
90s.
They're gonna play him at linebacker too. So they're
Which
probably gonna
I
get.
think makes a lot of sense for him. But then
Yeah,
even later in the draft, I mean, they were like, look, we have no edge room. So they took LT Overton late, and I think there's great value in that too.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So
I think he could really be a consistent down to down guy. Also, Devin Moore. I don't know how you felt about Devin Moore. I liked Devin Moore quite a bit.
I like Devin Moore.
Yeah,
Another player that I'm like, of course.
yeah,
like of
yeah.
course he's right there for the taking.
I
What they won 15, 110, some
114. Yeah. Did he?
114? Okay, yeah. So like it
I
was literally right in that range. It was just like, of course. Of
yeah.
course, Dallas.
Absolutely,
In my
man.
opinion, one of the best drafts this year. I don't
Yeah.
know if you feel differently.
No, I completely agree. I mean, like you said, Barham, he's probably going to play linebacker for them. Lawrence, I've been notoriously high on Lawrence. He's
Yep.
my
Called him a
edge.
top 15 pick, was on their record. So credit where credit's due.
Yeah, credit, man, credit. And I stand by that, man. I mean, the one concern you have with him is he's not very bendy, which is fair. I don't think it ends up costing him a lot of reps, though. I do think he's still super sound. I think his hand fighting techniques are great. I've always said that I think the last little movement he has at the end of a rush to just pull his arms completely away and completely disengage is pretty next level.
Yeah.
He's got good size. He's been building weight for a while now to get stronger. He can win in and outside with speed to power conversion. Some people think his speed to power is a little bit average. I think it doesn't get enough credit, to be honest. I think a lot of the times he can make it look a little bit slower than it is so that he can pull those hands away last minute. So I'm a big fan of Lawrence. Like I said, Barham's great. Drew Shelton's not a tackle I loved, but I mean, not bad value at like 112. Like that's at that point, that's like eye of the beholder. At that point, I can understand if maybe a higher conviction on a guy like Drew
Yeah.
Shelton out of Penn State. Like we said, Devin Moore could be a starter for them. Could be a starter for them, man. He could start. Overton's like good value there for edge because he was starting to fall a little bit.
Great
And then
depth piece for them. That's a guy that
yeah,
could be a special teams demon before he starts getting reps on defense too.
definitely, man. And then Anthony Smith, he's okay. That's like the one pick. I'm like,
Well,
man,
now we're getting to the end. Like, you know what I mean? Now it's
seventh
the
round,
crapshoot.
seventh round. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, overall, I would give Dallas's draft, I think an A minus,
I
A
go
maybe
A.
A
I
minus.
lean A.
Valid,
One of the
valid.
best classes. I think genuinely a best case scenario. Probably the best draft Dallas has had in 5 years. I
Mhm.
mean, they've had good picks these last couple drafts, but have they had good drafts overall? No. Especially in that first round, they've been really missing. So to get Downs and Lawrence in this first round, I think the Jones boys really needed it, and they're going to be like, "We're back, baby."
No, 100%. I liked their class last year. I thought they got good value there with Ezraku. Who else did they go that year? Savone Ravel. They got Savone Ravel. I remember that. And then who was there? What was their first round pick? Was it Ezraku? No, I think Ezraku fell to the second. Do you remember?
Um, like Mozzie Smith is stuck in my head. I know that's not it. So let
No,
me
that was a year before, I think.
correct. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like, but like that's like when your brain gets stuck on something and you're like, that's it.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. We'll move to the Eagles here, but fact check that for me. Let's see here.
Yeah, those
Uh,
scumbags. We can talk about it.
yeah, I can start with
Tyler
the Eagles.
Booker. Tyler Booker.
That's who it was, Booker, and I liked Booker. I did like Booker. I liked Booker at guard. So yeah, so they've had two classes back to back that I've liked quite a bit. Philly. I don't know if maybe you want to start this because I know you had a few strong opinions. Maybe.
Howie, you better check in next time you come to Pittsburgh, buddy. That's all I'll say. All right. You ever try to embarrass my team like that on the national stage again? We got problems.
Yeah.
All right. And that was personal 1-to-1. That's why I'm looking directly in the camera when I tell you that. As for the rest of your class, you did a pretty good job. Unfortunately, I hate to say it. I would love to see the Eagles' downfall sooner than later, but it looks like they're extending their window yet again. Eli Stowers, that was probably the best tight end pick in that second round, in my opinion. Probably one of the ones I thought was actually going to have a future,
Yeah.
long term name, not just a blocking tight end that will be a depth piece, right? I really like the Markel Bell pick. I thought the value at 68 was just as good there too. The only pick I'm really not wild on from their class is probably Cole Payton. Just feel like that's a weird landing spot for him. Not sure if we even see him after the preseason there. He might be a practice squad candidate for them. I mean, they have McKee as the backup, so it's really going to be about competing for that QB3, and I just don't think that really makes sense for him. But what was that, round 5, the end of round 5? So not necessarily the worst pick. And if that's going to be your worst pick on the board, like whatever, because I
Yeah.
think they even got really good value at the end there. They got that one like the dude that was in the NFL Next program that's like this insane athlete. He'll be worth keeping up with Uar Bernard or whatever. The dude
Oh yeah, or Bernard. Yeah.
yeah. So they ended up drafting him. I saw everyone clowning on Twitter about, Diego Pavia didn't get drafted, but a guy that's never played a snap in his life did.
It's because he's an
You bet on
athlete.
intangibles. You bet on intangibles. That's all I'll say. But I really, even Wisniewski, where they got him, the safety, Texas Tech. I think that guy could even play special teams for them out the gate. So it's not even like that's a wasted pick in that. And that was 7th round, right?
Yeah, man.
So just goes to
Yeah.
show you how undervalued the safeties are.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of in the same ballpark as you. So where I land is Lemon, really good value there. I've heard a few people be like, man, what a steal by Howie. Can I be so honest with you? This was like maybe this was the end of the range for him, but this was like the range. This made sense. Like I was
Dude,
like, that's a good spot for a
if
good
he was a
player.
Steeler, A plus. But since it wasn't, I'd get out of here.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
my thing with Lemon is I think Lemon's a really good player. Like, if you know how I
Yeah.
tier things off, tier 1 for me
Yes.
is like Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, that kind of thing. Tier 2 is like Brian Thomas Jr., JSN, Tedero McMillan, Carnell Tate, that kind of thing, right? It's the next best thing. Lemon was a
Right.
tier 2 guy for me. I like Lemon a lot. I think Lemon's great. But also, with that being said, there is a level of talking about Lemon that has become a bit overrated, right? when it comes to like, oh my God, he's this like when people treat him like a blue chip can't miss prospect, I get so unbelievably annoyed. I've seen some people being like, well, he can play everywhere. He really can't though. Like, I think you can play him outside and just let him exist there for a little bit. But like that's not like a guy I'm deploying everywhere the way I would a Cornell Tate, right? It's just
Right.
not what I'm gonna do.
Plus, where does he fit into that offense right now is
He-
another interesting thing to talk
That's
about with them.
That's what I want to get into because, and listen, really good pick. Like this is an A+ pick. Really good receiver. You'll replace AJ
Yeah.
Brown. He's
No
not going to be
brainer.
AJ Brown, but like still, right? Great value. But some people acting like this is some giant steal. I just no. This is the right value for him, man. I'm sorry. This was the perfect spot. The NFL clearly viewed it the same. Like I watched this, and listen, a lot of corner or a lot of receivers get smothered by this guy, but I watched him get smothered by Leonard Moore. Like him versus Leonard Moore made him look like a UDFA. Like it was, and listen, that happens to everybody. But I do have concerns about Lemon sometimes when it comes to press coverage, certain aspects of physicality. But still, really, really good receiver. He's going to dominate in the slot. But we'll get into why I think that might be a concern here. But I want to say like Stowers, kind of a similar player where it's like this guy's going to be intermediate, middle of the field kind of player. I don't think Stowers is like a very real tight end. I don't think he can block well at all. But I do think he's an awesome weapon. So
Exactly.
curious
Like behind Sadiq, like that was my next guy. If
for
I'm
sure.
looking at that tight end position, but like I want athletes as tight ends now, right? I'm not
Absolutely.
thinking 13 personnel as much. We'll talk about that a little bit more at some point, but like that's really not on my brain. I don't think that's the future of the NFL. I think it's more about extending the field, especially the middle of the field. I think the teams that attack the middle of the field are the most successful. But so that's why, like, if I'm looking at Sadiq, if he's off the board, Stowers was second for me.
For sure. It's just good value right there, man. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how real of a tight end he's going to be, but I don't think they care.
Right.
But Markel Bell, really good value there for a tackle like that. He could be a tackle of the future. Cole Payton, I actually do like. I do like Cole Payton because I think they're going
Fair.
to trade. I think they're going to let McKee go and get a contract from somebody else because McKee could be like an average starter. He can be a
I
below
think
average
he's I
starter.
think he's I think he's got the ceiling of a bridge QB. Absolutely. You
I
know,
don't
I was
know.
surprised they didn't
Passing
try to trade him
wise,
in this class. Like I feel like they could have gotten a multiple 26 picks for him. Like if there was a time to trade him, it would be in an undervalued 2026 class. Like you would have gotten the most value out of that. That's just my opinion. I guess we'll see what happens. You
for
know,
sure.
as the offseason progresses here, do they keep him? Do they let him get more tape in the
Yeah.
preseason and everything? Because I know like the Steelers are kind of floating Mason Rudolph the same way. There's a couple teams doing this. I mean to say,
Good luck to whoever wants to take Mason Rudolph. Jesus. But Cole Payton, I do really like. Actually, I think he's got great athleticism. I see the vision there. I think they just want to be a
holds
QB
the
fat.
ball way too long, in my opinion. I think going into a system with like a Jalen Hurts, it's like, oh yeah, great guy to learn from. Like I guess how to adapt around that inability to forget to throw the ball, but
Fifth
you know.
round for me, 178. That's fine.
And
He's
you're an
gonna be.
anti-lefty quarterback guy anyway, so you hate
I,
lefties, you
yeah,
hate lefty kickers, you hate lefty quarterbacks.
I
You're
hate
an
every
anti-lefty guy.
lefty. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was
He's
surprised that you weren't just ripping on the Cole Payton pick immediately.
Oh, I was. It was in my blood to do so, but I had
Yeah.
to hold back. I had to hold back a little bit. But Micah Morris, solid guard, a little bit of a reach, but I see the vision here. I think he's got a super strong upper body, kind of light on his feet as a move blocker. I'd say his frame's pretty tough in terms of getting around protection. He can be a little bit awkward as an athlete, but I see exactly why this would be like this is the right factory. But I don't know if they moved on from Stoutland. Did they? They moved
I
on with Jeff Stoutland, I think.
I
Or Jeff
believe they
Stoutland may
did.
have moved on himself.
I was gonna say maybe he went and got paid, but I think that
I think he did. You have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think he did.
yeah,
But then,
I
like
think
you
of your
said,
point.
Cole Wisniewski, I do like him as like a nice, seventh round pick. And then Keyshawn James Newby, I don't have much of an opinion about. I think he's just kind of okay. But then, as we talked about, War Bernard, that's a nice just development piece. Let's just see what he can become. And I would give this class, I'm gonna go B plus.
B plus, I go A minus.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think that they kind of hit the nail on the head of what they needed to do to continue to be successful. Stoutland did leave, by the way,
Yeah.
so they will have
Yeah.
a new offensive line coach heading into 2026. Stoutland, I believe, just got fired or retired. He is not currently with
I
another
think he
team.
left willingly, if I'm not wrong. I think he
Yeah,
kind of
he's not
demands.
currently with another team, so we'll see what
I
happens with
think he
that.
left willingly, if I'm not wrong.
So
But
B plus, A minus, kind of
we
ends up in an A.
B plus, A minus. And the thing is, we'll talk about this in a future video because I want to give it its own time. But the way that Philly drafted here speaks a lot of volumes to the way that they want to change their offense. Because these are a lot of players that go
Right.
over the middle of the field for a quarterback that historically does not throw over the middle of the field. And they are at kind of a point right now where it feels like the fire's under his feet about things changing. So I'm
Yep.
very, very curious to see if this is a force of change of how this offense will run and the system itself of being like,
Good
listen,
point.
we've tried to build things around you and it has worked and it has not worked. We need you to start opening more aspects of the field open. And if that means we're challenging you to do so, that's what's going to happen. Whether that means Jalen Hurts can do that remains to be seen. I'm not saying it can't, but it's a challenge for a reason. And I just think that's very interesting because these Stowers and Lemon are very over the middle players. And like I said, I want to dedicate a video to a few conversations like that about certain ways offenses are changing. But I just wanted to bring that up a little bit because I think that's
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, man, let's move to Washington, man. Let's go to the Washington Commanders here. The Washington Commanders. It's funny because I think every NFC East team had a pretty good draft.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
think,
was about to say. Another solid draft, but this is where I
yeah,
would say solid and not like great. Like every other team, I've given really high marks to. I think the Sonny Styles pick was like right where like that was a
awesome,
dream
awesome,
scenario for them. Like they
awesome
were
pick.
running to the podium for that, right? But then after that, it's just like I mean, yeah, these guys are good, but like they like really kind of fell off when it came to like value on the board at the time versus what they ended up doing. Again, I don't think they made any like bad decisions where I'm like, what were they thinking? But it's more
Mhm.
just like the overall feeling of like I feel like there was more here. Like I feel
I
like we
feel like,
should have gone a
like,
different direction.
and granted, they didn't have many picks, but I do think
Yeah.
Sony
I think they
Styles,
had six.
yeah, Sony Styles A plus, like he's going to be an elite linebacker. I am so high on Sony Styles. I mean, I don't really need to go through the draft process of talking about Styles again. Like we understand this now. Like going from Bobby Wagner to Sony Styles has to be the most fountain of youth, refreshing feeling anyone could like. That's like if your whole life you were drinking like muddy water and then somebody came and gave you like a Fiji water. Like, like they're like, dude, hey, come here. Like
Yeah.
let me give you some spring Poland water. Like let me like yeah, it's like unbelievable upgrade. Antonio Williams, good slot receiver. Some people tend to overrate him a little bit, but he's going to be a dynamic slot receiver. I think you and I may have talked about this off air before, where it's like people really tend to overhype smaller slot receivers, where they're like, "But man, look at the way
I
this
felt
dude
like they
moves."
overdrafted him. So that would
Yeah,
be
like
something that I was like, he's probably there the next round.
I actually was okay with him at 71. I thought that was actually pretty good value. But like the
Right.
thing is, some people are like, man, he might be. Oh my god, he could be incredible from. Do you see the way he moves? It's like, yeah, he oughta, man. Like he's five. You're 5'11" and you don't weigh too much, man. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope you're fast and can run sharp routes. Like it's like kind of the bare minimum, man. So it's like I do really like Antonio Williams. It's just specific role, specific slot dependent, and he's going to be good at that. He's going to be helpful for Daniels. Joshua
Right.
Josephs, late round guy I really like, man. I was watching his tape, dude. I really like Joshua Josephs. Really nice edge from Tennessee. Obviously, when it comes to Tennessee players, you constantly wonder about just the system, but I think when it comes to their edge rushers, it's a bit more safe. I think he needs to get bigger and stronger when it comes to run blocking, but in terms of pass rushing reps, you see a lot of good stuff, man. A lot of bend, a lot of hyper athleticism. There's this awesome spin move he made against, I think it was maybe Minnesota or something like that. I'd have to go check again, where you could just see that athleticism on display. So really big fan of Joshua Josephs. He's probably a DPR guy, but that's fine. Like that's a good DPR guy to have. Katron Allen, I like him. That's like your
That was the big debate, right? Do you go Singleton or Katron? And then I guess it
yeah,
kind of fell in
yeah,
their lap the way they wanted. I personally would have probably gone Katron, but I
yeah.
think Singleton's also a great pick. So that's not to dog him in any way, but I think Katron was probably my choice of the two.
For sure. Like I think Katron Allen's a very much David Montgomery, big physical type.
Mm-hmm.
He's not very explosive, but he's good at a very specific thing, and I think he's going to do a good job at that for Washington. I think they just need a
Yeah.
big power back over there just to help them out. So I do really like that pick. Matt Golden, just good value for a center like him out of Michigan State. I did really like him. I think he's really good at climbing up to linebackers and then sealing them off in the run game. I think he has like a lot of potential as a center. He anchors well in protection. I like that pick, man. Good value. And then we get to like the all right, whatever, like Ethan Akmanis, the Rutgers QB.
Yeah,
Man,
dude.
man, who
Congrats. You've been
cares?
drafted. you're
Who
getting cut
cares?
day one. That the cuts come out. So
Yeah, all due
cool,
respect, who cares?
cool. Like
Like,
congrats, you had your draft moment and everything. Wish you nothing but the best. But like wrong team.
wrong team, man. So overall, I give this class, I would say, about a B. Give it like a nice B, solid.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say B to B minus. I was kind of in
Yep.
the middle there, but if you say B, I think you could convince me of just a B.
I think they could get good value out of Katron
Yeah.
Allen. I think there's some good value there. I think Styles alone is going to bring that up a lot. I just
Again,
think he's
a quick little round of applause just for the entire NFC beast that
NFC
they
beast,
are.
man.
Everyone cooked. So credit where credit's due.
They really
Cannot
did.
say the same about the rest of the NFC, and we're gonna get into that.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I wonder where we're going to differ. Well, we're going to
Oh
get to
yeah.
we're going to get to one that I have a feeling you have strong feelings about. We're going to go to the NFC North, and we're going to go to the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, I absolutely have strong feelings here. A
Yeah,
team that did not have a GM the day of for any of their draft, and they drafted like that. They drafted like, okay, you're going to control round one, and then you're actually going to get round two. We're going to trust your judgment on round three, and that's how it looked to me. This is like a bunch of different thought processes going into one room, and instead of one voice like being the louder one, it was just like, okay, what does everyone think? Like consensus. Actually, forget that. This is what I'm feeling. Like that's how it felt to me. Starting with Caleb Banks round one. Why? I guess that's the only word I can think of here is why. No one else was even considering Caleb Banks. Borderline top 50 because of the feet issues that he has. Those don't just go away as you put more pressure on your feet. Mind blowing. I know that. But for whatever reason, it will be for Minnesota when they put some guy with a Liz Frank injury on turf and they're like, why does he look different? Why does he look more stiff? Gee, I wonder, especially if you're going to make him put on another 10, 15 pounds. And they might. Because, ultimately, that's what he's going to be the best at is the run stuffing and then getting back to the passer, like trying to be like another rusher up the middle, right, and clogging the lane. I think he's a great player. I just don't think he's a great player at 18. That's insane when you look at who was on the board at the time. And then to follow it up, I guess I like Golday. I think you like Golday a lot more than me, though.
definitely.
I'm more middle of the pack on that. Like, I think he's good, not great. And I think that, they kind of already have him. Like, I know that. And then the other thing that they did that was not on their board is trading Grenard, which,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, who decided that? Who does that kind of a trade without a GM? Who does that kind of a trade without a GM, Jack? A stupid
Minnesota
team.
Vikings do.
A stupid team. That's who does. A team that doesn't have a direction or a vision of what they want to do in the next year. So when they're doing these GM interviews and they're like, not bad, right? And they're like, yeah, bad. Yeah, bad. What are we going to do? Like, we have one of the best young coaches in the NFL, and this is what we decided to do.
So this is going to be an
trenches. Genius
gonna,
IQ play.
This is going to be an interesting conversation because
one of my least favorite drafts by far.
Not one of my least favorites.
That's
not
insane to me.
Not one of my favorites. But so here's the defense I'll come to for Minnesota. Banks at 18 is really high. It really just is. It's really high. I don't love it. The outcome is that if this guy's foot is okay,
it's not.
We don't. Ultimately, we don't know.
Dude, he's 350 pounds. Like, your feet can only be so okay.
I agree, but we just don't really know. We just don't really know. We at its core, we just don't know. You know what I mean? I agree.
Fair.
We can project, but there's not a lot to know. If his foot is okay, and you tie him together with who they took at 82, Dominique Orange, you are going from two
big citrus.
Big citrus. You are going from two older veteran defensive tackles that have lost a lot of juice with Jonathan Allen and Hargrave to two incredibly young, unbelievably mountains of young defensive tackles that can be okay in the middle of the defense because they're not going to be asked to do as much. And here, I'll get into why now they've kind of screwed themselves a little bit. But I do see the vision very much there because if that works out, whoa, like that feels very much like a Flores just mountains pushing stuff kind of idea. I agree. I wouldn't have loved that in the first round, especially with the foot injuries. I get that. I can see the vision. it's just a very daring and high risk one. When I just think you might have been okay to take him if you want to trade up in the second, man. It's like I get it. Like I just don't
He's
love
gonna
that.
be there.
He's probably
He's
going to be there.
gonna be there.
And maybe there was intel that he might go early. Like I do get that some people had talked about maybe the end of the first. There's been differing conversations about D tackle. Like Caden McDonald and them didn't go. Maybe there's a conversation about looking for the high trades aspect of this. I do get that. I just don't love the process there.
And to add on to their first round pick, what did everyone, and I mean everybody, mock? Because it's their by far biggest need this offseason. Who did everyone mock? Safety, McNeil Warren or Thieneman. What did you do? You let Thieneman fall to a division rival. You
Yeah.
get to deal with him the same way the Giants get to deal with Downs.
Yeah.
You made that bed.
Right.
And you
Absolutely.
didn't
And I
have
do.
a second first round pick for me to look at and be like, well, you did kind of kill it here. I don't have that with you.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. But then I do think the picks from there get better. Like I said, when you team him up with Dominique Orange, I do like that. Jake Golte, I really do like. I think he's going to fit so well in a Flores defense. Super explosive linebacker, really great at the line of scrimmage, being in the box, climbing blockers with super heavy, aggressive hands. Like I think he can really be an absolute weapon for Minnesota up front. I really do. Caleb Tiernan, a tackle I really, really liked. They got him at 97. That's really good value. I think he could be a guard swing tackle. If he's playing guard for you, he's going to be pretty good, man. That is a starting guard day one to me. So I do really like that pick. Jacoby Thomas, a little tiny bit early for him, but I really like Jacoby Thomas. I do. I really do. I think he's super
Not when you could
wiry.
have had Thieneman or McNeil Warren. You don't.
But with the vision in mind, I could see it working out. I do. I'm higher on Thomas than maybe you
I'm not
are.
rooting on anybody to fail, by the way. I
For
would
sure.
never
For
do
sure.
that. I'm
Yeah.
just, it's just more so like, how can you not be passionate when you
No, for
look
sure.
at what the value was on the board?
I do like Thomas, though. I do like Thomas. I think Thomas could absolutely be a very good safety for them. Bredesen, I like as a fullback. I think that's good value at 159. I
Way
do. I
too
do like.
high.
No, I like Bredesen, man. Bring back fullbacks.
At round 5?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, for the kind of stuff Kevin O'Connell does. Yeah,
All
you
right,
know what I
man.
mean. That brother's
Draft a
not going to
punter
just
in
be
round 5
blocking.
too,
That
then.
brother is not going to just be blocking. I can tell you that. I like Bredesen quite a bit. I think that's fine value. Demings, pretty cool athlete. So I see the vision there for sure. I think that's like the kind of guy that Flores is like, I can fix him because I think he's got really awesome traits. Damon Claiborne at 198, I really like that. It's a Keaton Mitchell-esque player. And then Gavin Gerhardt, I don't love. That's kind of the first pick where I'm like, eh. So I'm actually higher on the value that they were able to get out of these other picks
Clearly.
than you are. Yeah. Well, we're talking like we're talking. These are like fifth round, sixth round picks, and they swung
Yeah, and
well.
I understand that. I do understand that, but it's just when you look at what they could have done in the beginning, a draft where I feel like they were expected to win last year, right? Like no one was looking at like heading into the season. It's crazy to think it now because we see what JJ McCarthy became, but no one was looking at the season like these guys aren't making the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So this is a draft I felt like they had to win, and they did it without a GM, and it looks like they did it without a GM. I can't get behind it, man. C
I don't.
minus.
I don't love them not taking many receivers. I'll tell you that. Their receiver depth is terrible, like awful. Like they took Ty Felton last year. I almost like threw my phone when they did that at the value they did. I'm like, what are we doing? There's so much better receivers on the board. And then they took no receivers now. So I'm like, cool, we're just gonna do nothing. That's great. So like I do agree in some circumstances with that. There's good value here. Like I said, I just think the conversation is was the value used properly in round one? And I agree it wasn't. I can see the vision, but I agree with you. I do agree. I think I'm also going to go C minus. I think I'm going to agree with you. I'm a little more
That's
optimistic about the.
interesting considering how high you were talking. And
I
I'm
like.
down. I'm down on this class. And for me, C minus is one of my lower grades I think I've given out. I would argue D plus, but like I told you, when it comes to like
I wouldn't go
prospect
D
grading,
plus.
I'm never like, oh, F minus minus. Like I'm never gonna do anything like that. But oh man,
Well,
one of my
you're
least
much
favorite
you're
drafts.
much you're much closer to I think a D plus C minus. I'm closer to like a C minus C. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
like a it's solid. You know, some fine value. Like I said, I agree about Banks though. I just think they did get good players. I think Tiernan can start. I think Orange can start. I think Thomas can start. I think Bredesen can start. Evans could probably maybe start. Claiborne could probably eventually start. Like I just think there's some good value here, man. But I do agree with you that it's not like high end players overall. I think a lot of these end up being the value that you hold to Brian Flores and what he can do with the players and the vision he
Right.
had in mind with that, and that's what elevates it for me. So yeah, we're in the same range. I just think you hate it much more than I do. You definitely hate it more than I do.
Oh my gosh.
We,
Hate it.
we we can go to one I thought was a bit weak. Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers. This is one for me that was not bad by any means, but I was very. So we'll start with Brandon Cisse, corner I did like quite a bit. I
I
thought that
like
was a
him at 52. I mean, I really do. I think there's
appropriate
great
value.
value in that. I think this is a guy that if I'm drafting him like 35th, I'm like, I don't feel as good about it. But at 52, I'm fine with that. I can.
Yeah,
I think that that's a great start to their draft at the very least.
for sure. Yeah, and I like Cisse, and then they go Chris McClellan. I'm a little lower on Chris McClellan than other people. I'll be honest with you.
That's
I
a
think his
surprise, honestly.
I think his length's just kind of okay. He's not a natural knee bender at all. Like there's not a lot of bend there, and I think that limits his anchor. I
Hmm.
think it also allows like blockers to get way too like far into his frame too often. I just think there's a lot of like hyper aggressiveness with him, with not a lot of bend or like plan.
Hmm.
And you see the flashes of when like he's dominating a lot of these reps and stuff. It's just his first steps average, man. I don't know. His pass rush isn't that overly explosive. I think he's like a solid D tackle. So I wasn't a big fan of that one. Deny Dennis Sutton. I do like. That's very good value at 120. I thought he'd go in top 100. I just don't know what his ceilings looking like. But I do like him, man. I think he's good at muddying up like running lanes, just run stopping. So I do like that pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't love that people are like comparing it to like, oh, where have we seen an edge rusher from Penn State before? Like, I'm like, don't set that guy up for failure like that, man. Don't like
he
make him a villain within the fan base because he's not Micah Parsons. Like, come on.
he's good, man. But let's tone it down.
Yeah,
let's
let's
let
bring it in a little bit here.
bring it down, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's a top 100 player. He's not a top five player. Like Jaeger Burton, I was lower on him. I was not a big fan of him. I think he's solid for like a zone blocking scheme. I think a lot of their times, man, I feel like he's always getting beaten on first contact by like a lot of longer defenders. I don't really love his upside as a center. I think he can slow down a lot of stronger defenders, like guys that are bull rushing him, but he needs to do a better job of like protecting edges and having more consistent posture so that he doesn't lose his balance. I'm
Right.
not like I'm not a big fan of him. He feels like putting duct tape on like a leak. It's like, okay, he'll do fine enough. So I was not a big fan of Jaeger Burton, really, to be honest with you. If they got him in later rounds, I'd be
Yeah.
like, cool. Uh,
On the flip
Damani,
side of that, Trey Smack was my kicker one in this class. I think that's a guy that can make easily 55 and in, but has a leg strength to go 65. Hopefully, we never see that. I think that Green Bay's a little bit cursed right now when it comes to kickers, so it makes me a little nervous. But I love that Doman and Smack both got picked up in this class.
yeah.
Specialist Shane strikes again. I think that's the last time I get to speak on the specialists here, though. Unfortunately,
I was gonna say, was this the best value kicker so far in the draft?
I would say by far the best value kicker in this class. Next year will be a little bit more interesting when it comes to that.
Okay, yeah. And
Yeah,
then Damani Jackson, just smooth athlete, very silky, but I don't
yeah,
have
pick
any.
201. So if it
Yeah,
works out, it works out.
yeah, I'm not very high on him, but that's
Yeah,
okay. I give this class overall, I'd give it like a C. I'd give it a C.
I go C plus.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I really like that Cisse pick.
Same.
I think that kind of elevates it a little bit for me. I love the Trey Smack pick, but that doesn't affect my grade.
Trace Mack works out. We're like, man,
You
A
know what?
plus.
That was Shane's
A
kicker
plus.
one on the board. So
Hey, I know everyone else was a bust in that draft, but oh man, that boy
yeah,
can
they
kick.
finally got a
Yeah,
kicker that worked. You know what? The Packers fans would probably take that. That's the thing. Like
sure,
that's how cursed they've been at kicker
dude,
recently.
100%. Like I kind of agree with you there. But yeah, I think we see this class decently similar. Yeah, like fine enough, I'd say. Um,
Absolutely.
we'll go to a class that had some ups and downs, but I like overall. I think. Let's go to the Chicago Bears, man. The
Okay.
Chicago Bears had an interesting one to me. I don't think you and I talked too in depth about this, so I'm curious your thoughts.
Not too in
Obvious,
depth, but I definitely think it's one of my favorite classes from this division for sure.
yeah,
I already spoke how I felt about Thieneman there. I think that
yeah,
was unreal value at 25. Once again, I think it's ridiculous how safeties are seen in the NFL, like so undervalued, and I think they do so much for a defense, and it's just really not respected enough at
yeah.
any level. Um, I'll have to get your opinion more so on Logan Jones, trench guy, but like I kind of thought that was a good pick. Like from
I
what
do like
I'd
that
read and
insurance.
seen, like I thought that was a good pick.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Xavier Thomas at 89,
same.
but I do see the vision though. You know what I'm saying? Like, would that have been my choice? Probably not, but totally get what they're going for here.
For
Um,
sure.
and then once we get like to the back end, I know everyone was clowning on Malik Muhammad on Twitter saying he didn't react strongly enough, looked like he was miserable, whatever. I think that's a guy that can come in and play, probably start for them, sooner than later. Absolutely going to be special teams in the meantime, though. Like, we're going to see that guy next year. But, you'll have to give me your opinion maybe on Jordan Vandenberg, just because I don't have much of one at the time.
So I like Vandenberg. I'll go from the top here. So obviously, as we talked about, Thieneman home run play there. Like they did another safety. That's a great one, right? Logan Jones. I'm a big fan of Logan Jones. He's a bit undersized, right? He's a bit undersized. He's got shorter limbs, but man, that's a bulldozer, dude. I really like Logan Jones. That's really good value. I think he could be your future guard or center. I think that's a guy that could start as early as like tomorrow. Like he's a very good player. I'm a big fan of Logan Jones. Super good in gap schemes, even better in zone stuff specifically. Um, he's a little older as a prospect, so it's like okay, but I do really really like him. I think he's a nice player, and that's good value for him. Sam Roush, I really like. Can't have enough tight ends with Ben Johnson. This is a perfect guy for him. Like Sam Roush is perfect value for him. Xavier Thomas, it's one of those ones where I'm like, I do like Xavier Thomas, not in the third round. There was better receivers on the board, but I also believe in the idea that Ben Johnson probably has a very specific vision in mind for this player. So curious to
Right.
see what that ends up being. Bit of a reach for me, but I'm willing to hold out hope and be like, all right, let me see what you do with him. But
Yeah.
it is a
Let him
reach.
cook. Let Ben
Yeah,
cook. He's earned
but
that
like
right.
he does. I like the Roush pick way more than the Thomas pick, but we'll see.
Right.
Malik Muhammad, like we said, I think he could start. They have Kyler Gordon, and they obviously have who else? Tyreek Stevenson and
Some
and
great guys for him to learn from in the
Jalen,
meantime.
yeah, Jalen Johnson. So I think he can get tighter with his technique there. Sometimes he can be a little bit bad with penalties, but I think he can clean it up. He was a much higher pick last year in terms of the way people were hoping he'd turn out. But yeah, man.
Right. The way
Uh,
too early mocks.
yeah.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
and then two of my favorite picks here, maybe my favorite pick of this, Keyshawn Elliott, man. I love Keyshawn Elliott. Awesome run stuffer, super smart. Maybe not the,
That's why I didn't frame up. I'm like, I'll let Jack get on his soapbox
yeah,
here.
I love
You were
Keyshawn
going off
Elliott.
in the group chat about that one.
Love Keyshawn Elliott, man. I thought he'd go. He was a top 100 player for me. He went at 166.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Keyshawn Elliott's great, man. I think he's gonna be a great run stuffer, super smart linebacker. Maybe not the most amazing athlete, but absolutely has his eyes on the backfield every time. Really good value. I mean, unbelievable value here. He should have gone way higher. So that's like an A+ pick right there. And then Vanderberg is also really good value. I thought he'd
Okay.
go.
Okay.
I thought he'd go maybe 120, 110. Like he's a really good defensive tackle. I think he really started to hit his stride with Georgia Tech in 2024. Really good testing numbers, super athletic. Like he's going to be a good body to have on the D line to just see who kind of comes out of the crop. So I like this class. There's a few reaches here and there where it's like, oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right. But overall, I'd give this a nice B.
I think I probably lean low B+
Okay.
because, like I said, I think this is one of my favorite classes from that NFC North region there.
Mhm.
I think that they did what they needed to do. They got Thieneman in round one, man. I
Yeah.
don't think like they could have asked for a better result.
For sure, man. For sure, dude. Next, let's finish this out with Detroit in the NFC North.
Yeah, I wonder what their
Lions.
plan was coming in to the draft. I don't think they really exposed themselves or anything. It wasn't totally to fix up the defense and attack the trenches or anything like that. It wasn't at
God,
all.
man, nothing is more annoying than the way that we talk about every Lions pick. Just like, yeah, they picked a guy here who's just huge, great, really fits the Dan Campbell defense.
Yeah,
Very aggressive, big guy. I'm like, God, do we do this every time? Like every time, we're just gonna do
yeah.
the like alpha male gimmick.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's kind of he. I mean, he does have a type. He does.
he does. I'm just so sick of hearing
I
about it.
think I
I'm
think
so
Blake
sick of
Miller
hearing
and
about it.
Derek Moore both fit that bill too.
I,
Of
I
just
agree, but I'm so sick of the gimmick. So
I
sick
hear
of the
you.
gimmick. I'm
You
so
know,
sick of the
it's one of
gimmick.
those drafts. It's not going to be super sexy. It's not going to be like, oh man, I can't wait to buy this guy's jersey. But these are all guys that I think are going to contribute very
Let me,
early on for
let me
them.
guess. These are real lunch pail guys.
Yeah,
Real
lunch pail guy.
rise
He'll
and
be
grind. First guy in, last
sneaky
guy
athlete.
out.
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, they
Checks
actually
out.
drafted guys that like you're like, oh, ease up so you don't get a personal foul here. Let's not kill them.
Yeah,
Right? Like, hey, the
exactly.
whistle blew. Let's chill out. That's more
exactly.
so the kind of guys that they got here. But I really like some of them. I like the value on Keith Abney in round 5. I,
Absolutely.
yeah, I thought that was someone that was probably borderline top 100 for me. So 157 was
He was like 90 or 85 for me, something like that. Yeah, that was pretty
right.
high. Yeah.
And then I really like, at the end of their draft, I like them wrapping it up with that. I mean, not necessarily Tyree West. You'll have to tell me more about that one, but Skylar
Mhm.
Gill Howard in that 6th round, I really like that pick at that time.
For
And
sure.
again, it shows the identity, the vision that they have. Not a guy that you'll see in the stands all over the jerseys, but a guy that will play,
Yeah.
will contribute.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I really like this class in some ways. Blake Miller, really big fan of that pick. He was a guy that I had pretty high in terms of offensive tackles, guys that can be true
Mhm.
tackles. Big fan of him. I want him to tighten up like the core strength a little bit better and technique. But man, he's solid, man. I really like Blake Miller. It's a great pick. Derek Moore, just a consistent edge rusher. I think that he's got great tackle technique, and I think he projects as like a pretty good pressure, high rate pressure guy. You know what I mean? Maybe he's not always going to get sacks. But I do like
Right.
Derek Moore. It's not like my favorite pick right there at 44. Do think it's a bit high, but I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I get it. Jimmy Rolder, I did like Jimmy Rolder a solid amount. I think he's got good awareness and change of direction in space. Just not super fast. You know what I mean? But that's okay. And then when we get to one of the picks I really like, which is like you said, Keith Abney. I mean, that's a home run. He should have gone top 85, top
I was
75,
really
maybe.
surprised by that. I was like, did I
I
miss something here?
I thought he'd be gone by the end of round 2. I really did. Kendrick Law, good receiver with good yak. He kind of fits those like random role player receivers that Detroit always likes having. And I'm like, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, and they're valuable. They're valuable, man. I mean, like the Khalif Raymonds, the Tim Patricks, Kendrick Law now. Like it fits. I like it. I like that. Skylar Gill Howard, nice defensive tackle from Texas Tech. I think he's a bit scheme and matchup dependent when it comes to like just being like a big disruptive chaos factor, but I think he can be that.
And that being
And then
said, great scheme for him to go into.
for sure. For sure, man. And then I think when it comes to Tyree West, he's going to be your pressure guy, man. I mean, I think he's got really good sinking and anchoring. He's probably going to get double if he gets double teamed, he's done. He's just done. But I do think he's just a guy that's going to be able to take advantage of one-on-ones and get a lot of pressure. Getting on the
Okay.
7th round at 222,
I
not
was
bad
gonna
at all,
say
man.
worth the gamble in the
Like,
bottom, the
for
bottom
sure.
round.
Absolutely, man. So overall, I give this class maybe B plus, maybe a B. That I'll say
I
B.
lean more toward B just because I have to have Minnesota above them, just from the value of or not Minnesota, silly me, Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, I still got Minnesota on the brain. I'm still fired up from that. But Chicago, Chicago's my number 1 class, like from this
Okay.
division. But
Mhm.
that's probably second place for me. So I'd probably put them right at a B.
Yeah, dude. I
Yeah,
think I have. I think Chicago's my one, and I think Detroit's like right near them. I think that's right because they're both Bs to me, but I wouldn't give either of them necessarily a B plus.
that's
Um,
fair.
yeah,
I think that's fair. We're right
yeah,
around the same thought process, though,
yeah,
I'd say.
for sure, for sure. I think we agree on both those classes. 49ers is the one I want to get into next.
Are you sure? Because
Yeah.
I feel like this is another one that we're going to disagree on very heavily.
Okay. I want you to go ahead and start with this one,
Yeah, one
honestly.
word. reach. You saw all the memes of them making the mock drafts on Chat GPT. I don't think that's very far off what actually happened. I think that John Lynch is maybe relying a little too heavily on it to where maybe it's taking some work off his plate and he's using that to his advantage. But at the same time, it's going to cost him his job if he keeps having classes like this. I mean, there's no other way around it. I know you like the pick of Stribling. I hate it at 33, though. That is
Oh, I
not a guy I'm
disagree.
taking at 33. I'm just not. And then,
Disagree.
to follow it up with like Kalen Black at 90, that's also just absurd to me.
I
I'm not going
agree.
to call it malpractice or anything like that, but I will say, like, that's just bad value, dude. It's just bad value. And, I really don't look at anyone. I mean, I guess the only person I really look at in their class when I'm looking at my notes here is Ephesians Presock. I like that guy.
Same.
Love his name. Elite name.
Elite name. Yeah.
But I like the pick. But other than that, man, there's not anything here that I love or borderline like. Everything just kind of,
So where I end up differing here is that I love the Stribling pick. I think the Stribling pick's great. He was my
33, Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. Yeah, I think it's good. There can be a conversation about should they have gone Boston. I would argue it's less that Boston's the lesser player, and it's more of just the way that their offensive wide receiver room is built. They already have Mike Evans-esque, and they have Pearsall that's going to be that flanker type. I think they want a Jawan Jennings super type. Like, I get it. Boston's definitely the better player, but I just think it's an element of like, we already have the overlap of that kind of archetype. He's a great player, but we just don't feel like we need to really hit that necessarily as much as we want to Stribling. I think Stribling's great, man. I think he's going to be an elite blocker for you. Really, really nuanced leverage receiver in terms of like attacking blind spots. Uh, really good speed. Unbelievable speed, actually. Very underrated speed. Underrated contested catcher. I think what you're getting out of this is Jawan Jennings, but like on like times 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a times 10 Juwan Jennings. You are. He's a way better player than Juwan Jennings. He just is. And I just think
Current
he's got a
Jawan
lot.
Jennings or what they got out of Jawan Jennings to begin with?
He'll be better than what they got out of Juwan Jennings. Yeah. He will. I just think he has more real receiver upside. Like, he just does. He was Ole Miss's real wide receiver one. I mean, every time he was doing all the dirty work, he was the one that would be the ones getting these big plays. I'm a big fan of Stribling. I think there's areas of work for him. I want to see him get better at zone coverage. You don't see him always as consistent against man, but man, I do think he's just that guy you're gonna be able to just plug and play and just spam targets to if you really need him to. He's gonna be that guy that you do a lot of creative stuff in the backfield.
They're sure going to have to.
And they're fine with that though because he's a good receiver.
Let it be known that
cool
Jawan Jennings was drafted at 217. By the way,
I think he's. But
so I would hope that he's better, like coming out the gate.
But yeah, but I think Jennings became a better player than his draft spot was. Like,
oh,
I think
absolutely, no, absolutely.
So it's like that. So it's but that's what I'm saying. If we knew what we knew about what Jennings could become now, I think he'd go much higher. I think he'd go like late third. I do.
Late third is still beneath 33, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. Stribling's way better than him. I think Stribling's going to be a way better version of him.
I hope for their sake, because I mean, this is like a class you look back at and you're like, yeah, I can see why John Lynch lost his job.
I don't know, man. He's got good size, super early acceleration to climb over the top of coverages, man. He doesn't have great short area quickness, but that's okay. I think you're going to get him on a lot of easy looks through the slot. His downfield ball skills are really nice. They really are. You want to see him carve out space to fight through contested catches better, but that's kind of fine. Like, that's okay. He has legit speed, man, and they're going to weaponize that so well, especially with his bigger frame. I'm a fan of this pick, man. It's high for sure. I'm cool with this, man. I do like this one. Romello Height, I like that one too, man. I liked Romello Height quite a bit. Whenever I was watching David Bailey, I'm like, yo, who's this other dude that's moving like with awesome agility? And I'm like,
early.
He makes. I thought it was fine value. I think he's gonna be a great DPR guy, and I think he's gonna give you some really good moments, especially when you let Michael Williams handle the run. He's gonna handle the pass on those third down situations. I like Romello Height. I like the first two picks a decent amount, man. Kalen Black, I agree. Kalen Black is a reach. I don't love it there. I don't know what he'll become, but I'm not a big fan there.
I think I had him in my 5th or 6th round.
Maybe like 4th or 5th. Grayson Holton, I do like Grayson Holton. I do think Grayson Holton's a nice 3 tech. He's a little undersized, but I do like him. Super energetic. gap-to-gap rusher who's super good at threatening guards. I like Grayson Halton, man. Carver Willis, a bit of a reach for me. This is where I'm like, his run blocking tape's really nice. That's probably what they want him for. Outside of that, meh. Ephesians Priceock could be pretty good. I kind of thought he was a little bit better than
Ephesians, brother.
Takario. Ephesians, yeah. Takario Davis is not better than him in my opinion, so that's good value. I do
Interesting.
like I do
Okay.
like them. They're both up and down, so it's
I'll
not
let
like I
you.
have.
I'll let you say it and move on. I'll let you say it and move on. I'm
I
not
feel
even.
that way, but it's like if you're like in a few years, like, well, Takario Davis is better. I'm like, yeah, they're both okay. Like,
Yeah.
I get it's a feeling I have, but I'm not like married to it. But Jaden Duggar, kind of just okay. I wasn't a big fan of him. I just think he's kind of an okay
A
linebacker.
guy.
That big guy.
No, a
He's
guy.
not a big guy. He's a big guy.
I keep saying
But
a guy.
a guy. I know, but I'm saying he's a big guy.
Oh, okay. I thought
That's
you
what
thought I was saying big. I'm like, no, dude, a guy.
no, I'm saying just a big guy.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Enrique
Sorry.
Cruz, good value though for a swing tackle. Sits in the fifth. That's fine. So overall, I like the first two picks. It definitely goes down a bit from there. I would give this draft C minus or C. I'm gonna give it a C.
I am closer to D plus C minus range for me. This is one of my
Whoa.
least favorite classes, if not my least favorite class. It's borderline a tie between Minnesota and here for my least favorite classes. If it wasn't for how pretentious Gladstone was in Jacksonville, I probably wouldn't have them above them. But
The
because
Jack.
of his reaction to everything,
Yeah,
but San Francisco has absolutely earned their right at the bottom of this class.
that's fair. I get the reaching for sure, but I do stand by it. I think Stribling and Height are good players,
Only
man.
time will tell, man.
Yeah, I do. I stand by it. I'm gonna say those are two good players, man. We're gonna get to another one I know that you weren't a big fan of, Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if you want
Seattle
to.
Seahawks.
I like this class, man.
The
I
one
actually
thing I'll
like.
give them credit for is like what they came into this draft with what 5 picks total, I think like five,
About maybe. Yeah,
maybe four. Like they had very, very little picks to where,
something
Schneider
around that.
was out in the open talking about, yeah, no, we're trading out of round one because we
Yeah,
need more picks. And I think they ended up with like 8 picks. So like credit where credit's due. Like they definitely made something work there. I was not moved by who they took though. Like I do not like Jadarian Price at 32. I
I'm
don't
fine.
know if we feel the same on that, but like ultimately, like running back value, what do you need the 5th year option for? Like I don't see the need for it. I think that's a guy that is probably there in the second round if you
I
really
don't
want to.
know. I think he would have gone off the board super early.
But
Like,
I also know that they wanted to trade out of that pick, right? So I feel like maybe they couldn't, so they just took the guy that they wanted anyway.
I thought it was
That's
fine value. I thought it was fine value for him. Yeah,
but then
fine
Bud
enough. And
Clark
they
at
need running back.
64.
They need running back bad, dude. They
But
do.
then
They
Bud
really
Clark at
do.
64. I'm out. I'm out on that one. I don't think that that's good value there. I think that's a guy that would have been around in the third round. You can argue all you want that that's not the case, but I mean, I know he would have been there. And
What
you
what
know,
what round did you think he'd be in?
I think he'd be around the third round.
I don't know about that. I think he would.
No, I definitely think so. And I think the way the board was falling, especially seeing what everyone else is doing, he would have been there in the third round.
I disagree with that, but continue with your takes.
Anyway, he's old.
He
Anyways,
is
Julian Neal, I'm whatever on that. I feel like you might be a little bit higher than me with that one.
solid enough. Solid pick.
I think more around 125. I think that's more of a reach than people are saying. But, is that a guy that I'm going to pound the table saying, that was so bad? What are you thinking? No.
Yeah.
But I'm just not moved by it.
Mhm.
But and then you get. I mean, they had 3 7th-round picks, and they very much focused on their defensive back room. I
For
don't know
sure.
if any of these guys do anything, but
Andre Fuller might. Andre A. Fuller might.
very well might. But only
I
time
mean,
will
we're good with mites in the seventh round at two
yeah,
seven picks.
yeah,
We're cool with that. We're cool
yeah.
with
Well,
that.
we can live with mites in the 7th.
Yeah. But I feel you on a few of these negatives. I just think they did. First of all, I don't feel like they have a lot of holes that I look at. I'm like, man, that's got to be fixed beyond running back. Really, that was it. Maybe a second safety. That was kind of where I ended up there. I was like, there's not really many holes here I'm really that concerned about. Price I get it. 32 is a bit high. I'm okay with it though. It's fine. I get it if they felt that Price was going to come off the board pretty early in round two.
I
And
think that, I kind of talked myself into what happened there. So I
yeah,
really think that they tried to trade out of it. They were very open about trying to trade it. They ended up not being able to. Like, value just wasn't there. So
yeah,
took
yeah.
the
No,
guy
I
that
get
wanted
it.
it anyway.
I get it for sure, man. Bud Clark, it's not one of my favorite picks, but he's going to be a ball hawk for that, man. He's going to just get a bunch of picks. He's going to have a short career, but a lot of interceptions. This is my take. Like, short career, but he's going to get a lot. He's going to be a great
He's gonna
pick
be a
merchant.
guy. Hey, remember Bud Clark?
Yeah, he's gonna be a great pick merchant for them, and that's okay. Julian Neal was definitely a bit of a reach at 99. I'm sure they feel that there's a certain vision in mind here for him, so I want to keep my my mind open about that. But I definitely do agree that it was a bit of a reach there for a guy like him. He
Right.
ranged more to like a 125, 130 guy to me. Bo Stevens, love that pick. That dude can start
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Bradford, you are gone. Anthony Bradford, you are gone. We are starting Bo Stevens now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he could start right now, man. I mean, I really
Wow.
like Bo
Okay.
Stevens a lot. Perfect pick there. I think that's an A+ pick. Super good value at 148. Top 115, 110 player for me. Emmanuel Henderson, kind of a whatever receiver. I wasn't super moved by him. Andre Fuller, actual value there to develop into maybe a serious corner. I could see him transitioning to maybe a safety. That could be interesting there as well. So there's some interesting value there with Andre Fuller. Devin Eastern, I don't have much opinions about really, and Michael Dansby, I also just don't have a lot of
Yeah, I
opinions.
won't say much on the seventh round guys. I've already kind of given you my
Yeah,
thoughts on
you're
that.
you're
Especially when
trying
it
your
comes to
hardest to
like
pull
defensive
something out of
backs
that.
and everything like that. There's usually a reason those guys are down there so low. I know some guys slip through the cracks. I'm not saying that they'll be unsuccessful or anything, but it's just like I don't have much of an opinion at this point on those kind of guys. So I
Yeah,
can't like it
with
factor
seventh
that
round
into
guys
it.
who start throws, So
Right, exactly.
yeah, but I would give this class overall maybe about like a C. I'd give like a C.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll do a low C. I won't go C minus with them, but I'll do a low C. Definitely not
Okay.
my favorite class, but like when looking at some of the other bad classes, what they could have done versus what they ended up getting, like considering how many picks they had and everything. I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
definitely credit where credit's due for Schneider with that side of things.
For sure, man. For sure. So yeah, that's a class I didn't hate, but it was just okay. Let's get to the not final one in the NFC West,
Yeah,
but
second to
third,
last.
second to last year,
Yes,
Rams. We're gonna go to the Los Angeles Rams over here, man. Uh, shall we get into the Ty Simpson conversation?
what is the conversation to be had? That these guys think that they're smarter than everybody, that the GM and the coach did not communicate at all in their thought process. I mean, I don't even think Ty Simpson met with McVay before the draft. Like, I don't even think that like they've even met prior
No.
to the announcement. The phone call was absolutely brutal as well. Like, my gosh, at least pretend you're happy. This is just insane to me, and ultimately, like the rest of their draft kind of followed in that same pattern of, you guys aren't going to believe this pick. Insane. like that's kind of how it read to me. It's very much in the same vein as Jacksonville and how I feel, but the difference between Jacksonville and the LA Rams is they've kind of earned the respect of like, we do have to see how it plays out. Maybe they do have something in mind. I know we talked about their game plan is very clear and their thought process of what they see for their team is very, very clear. Just not the pick I make at 13, man. Not in a class where I only have 5 picks.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
not making Ty Simpson at 13.
What I will say about the Ty Simpson thing is I get it if I get the vision in mind of taking the shot on the quarterback. That makes complete sense to me. Anybody who tries to frame this conversation of you don't know what next year's class is going to look like, you got to take a shot now. I get it.
Please.
That point has been beaten to death. We get it. That's not the problem here. After that point, after you've established, hey, we feel like we might want to take a shot at quarterback here for developing for the future, and see what he can become. That's okay. But the next step of that process is where am I going to take that guy? What is the value and what are the traits and what am I projecting that guy to be? You took him at 13. So if you're going to do this Jordan Love thing, this is higher than Jordan Love, is it not? Right? For a lesser player, sorry, doesn't have those traits, right? Does not have those traits. And also, I get it. Maybe the situation's similar in terms of Stafford and Rodgers, right? Where you're like, oh, okay, maybe there's another 2 years here, then they leave. I get that. But you took a very unproven quarterback with a much smaller track record than Jordan Love had
The
for
smallest resume in this class.
yes, exactly. If they were like, we're going to take Ty Simpson in the second, I'd be like,
And the
go ahead.
resume wasn't that great. The resume was not that great.
No, and I get it. I get it. I saw a great point by Robert Mays where he said, he says, I think Sean McVay and that coaching staff and Les Snead and all of them, I think they really like and respect Brock Purdy as a player. I think that he's the kind of player that fits the middle ground of, the Shanahan McVay tree of guys where it's like Shanahan McVay tree guys love a dude who's just going to do exactly what they want and maybe nothing outside of that, right? The Jimmy Garoppolos, the Jared Goffs, that kind of section of like, just kind of do what we need you to do. We don't need this guy to be a hyper athlete. But then they've tried some things on the other end of that where they're like, let's find a hyper athlete who's just insane and will do all these crazy throws. But then those guys lack the fundamentals of the quick game aspects of just making the, little bit by bit progression of the offense happen, right? So then it's like, what's the middle ground of that? Well, it's like a Brock Purdy type, right? A guy that is going to do the in structure stuff, but then also will scramble and make something happen and then do the daring move. And I think because of that, I do agree with Robert Mays in the sense that I do think that the Rams are kind of similar where they're like, we do like that archetype. The closest thing they have to that is Stafford. It's the closest, right? And so it's like the kind of thing where it's like, all right, they see Brock Purdy and Ty Simpson. They do. And then the conversation
Remind
becomes,
me, fact check me if I'm wrong. Man, I can't remember for the life of me. Was Brock Purdy a first round pick? Was he a top 15 pick? Remind me. I'm just
and that's the problem. And that's the
no,
thing.
no, he
And
wasn't. That's right. Okay,
no.
no, that's
And
right.
that's the problem. Like, and I'm not saying, well, with that in mind, wait for Ty Simpson to fall at Mr. Irrelevant.
Well, let him
Don't do
cook.
that. Yeah, don't do that. I'm not saying do that. If you have a conviction on the guy and you want to take him late in the first, you know what I mean? Like 30, 31, 32.
Trade out of 13.
That's what
Someone
I'm
will take that. No one
that's
is
what I'm
dumping
saying.
you for Ty Simpson in the first round,
the,
bro.
the
No one.
draft is a game and you failed the game. I just because it's just I get it if you want to take a swing, but the swing is for a guy with not very hyper athletic traits
Did
or high
McVay
end
know
traits.
before the draft that they were doing that?
I
Because
think
the
he
way he
did.
was acting, like when it
I
became a
think he
reality
did.
for him, he was like sick to his stomach.
I will be so honest with you. I do think he's fine with the pick.
Oh, I think now for sure. I think he needed a second. That's why I'm like, he knew about it before the draft, though, right? Like Snead didn't just go
I
like, by the way.
he keeps saying in these interviews that the reason why was something else that was personal. I kind of believe him because he was asked questions about Simpson pre-draft and he sounded actually very positive about Simpson. Like it didn't feel like I'm trying to say something nice. It felt like he was like he was talking about him very much in respects to Brock Purdy, which is why I genuinely do believe the idea that I'm like I actually do think McVay likes him. I don't know if McVay is like this is my Jordan Love, oh my god, or this is my
Right.
Stafford. But I do think he's like, this reminds me of a Brock Purdy-esque thing. I don't think he's mad about the pick, but I also don't think he's like, oh my God, we knocked it out of the park. I think he's like, cool, we can make this work.
I
We can
can't
make a
wait to
guy.
make history with you, coach. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
yeah, yeah. Like I think and with that, like I said, the process is just a failure. To me, it's just anytime you can try to argue these, well, you don't know about next year's class, and you've got to take the chance now, and you got to build for the future. Okay, there's a step after that where you actually have to apply the process. It's not just saying that and repeating the same sentence everybody's heard
Exactly.
since 2020 with Jordan Love. You have to have the process happen and show how you're going to go about it. Because guess what? If we're just all going to follow that mindset, cool. I'm going to take Taylor Green at number 10 because what if he turns out good after we
Yeah.
move on from Jackson
Freak
Dart? Like,
athlete. Got to make it happen.
yeah, well, we have to think about life after Jackson Dart, and we can make him great. Like, you
Yeah.
can start doing this with everything. You have to go through the actual process of this. And the reality is, this isn't a guy with really high end traits. This isn't a guy that has a big resume, and you took him at 13. That's the problem. Those are the core problems of this, and I just can't get behind that.
Makes it to where like you don't even really need to look at the rest of his class. Like
Yes.
this was your choice. This is the bed you slept in, and like it automatically makes the class a C- or lower for me.
For sure. For sure. And I get it. If you want to look at the optimistic outlook of it, it is that he can become a Brock Purdy type, which I think is in the cards. If there's any environment for him to go to learn those things and become good at the little things, I definitely
Dude, if
think
your
this is a great
ceiling's
landing
Brock
spot.
Purdy, like
But
I
that's
think that you
like
look
making the
elsewhere.
But that's fine though. I think that's okay. Like I think we're long past the idea that everybody's vision for their offense has to be their quarterback's a god. Like I think it's okay for your quarterback to be part of the carousel. You know, like I think that's
Just a
fine.
guy.
Yeah, he can be just a pretty good guy, and I get it. So if you want to look at an optimistic viewpoint of it, I think he can become that, and I think he's on a good steady trajectory to become that in maybe 2 or 3 years. I
Right.
just maybe wouldn't bet on that, but if you want to look at the optimistic outlook of it, that's what it is.
Right.
And in terms of the other picks, I do really like Max Clare. I just don't know if I love him to the Rams in the way they're going to use him, but I do. But I do love Max Clare a lot. I thought his what was he at Purdue before this or something? His tape there was way better than it was this year. They just had him doing a lot less. Keegan Tross is an okay pick. I think he's all right. I think there's some value there, but we'll see. Maybe a swing tackle. CJ Daniels, solid value at 197. I like CJ Daniels at 197.
Yeah.
Good contested catcher, just a body in that receiver room. And then I do really like Tim Keenan at 232. So there's some nice value picks here. Not really a lot that makes you stand out. The one that would make it stand out is Claire, but we'll see what his usage looks like. So to me, this is about a C as well.
Yeah, I mean C minus anywhere in that range. If it's a high C minus, but if it's a C, it's a very very low C.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just
So, yeah, like I'm sure we're going to talk about, the future of Ty Simpson as time goes on this pod, but
right.
yeah, that's where we're at right now. Let's go to Arizona then, I guess. Let's go to the Cardinals, which we're going to get into another quarterback conversation here. We're going to get into another one. Oh, boy.
But at least like
Uh,
they led with like decent picks, right? Like, do I love the pick of Jeremiah Love at 3? Like, not really. No pun intended. I do that every time.
yeah,
Like not necessarily, but I understand it,
for
right?
sure.
Especially when they followed up with Basantis. It's like, okay, we're off to a great start here. That's about
Yeah.
exactly what they would have wanted when looking at their big board, I would say. And then you get,
And
and then you get
we'll get into
Carson
him
Wentz,
in a second here.
65.
What I will say about Love is that I do think that Jeremiah Love, it's not necessarily a
We can go
read.
through the first two picks really quick, just so we don't have to like wrap it up after complaining.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. With Jeremiah Love, it is the thing of like I get it. I love offense maxing. But running back is a luxury, right? It's the end piece to an offense, and ultimately at its core, I don't love that at 3. I think at that point try to trade out. And here's the thing, though, he will be really good. It's just about the
Oh,
value.
undeniably.
He'll probably be an O-Roy candidate. Let's be real here. Like you're never going to be mad about the player. It's just about the extended value of what it means to be building a great roster here. And I just don't think it was. It very much was just like colorful lights, like ooh, he's so cool. Look at him run. Like I get it. He's
Yeah.
awesome. He's like one of my highest rated players in this class. I just don't love the process for it.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Big Cat said it best on part of my take. He was like, anytime you look at an offense and there's like 30 holes that need filled out, the first thing you do is get an awesome running back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And it's like I get it if you didn't want to take a guard or tackle at 3, but then trade out, see what the board lands to. Like, I don't really think they need receiver. I don't really think that, but like maybe there's this corner thing here. Maybe they go to lane or like I just play the board a little bit more interestingly. Again, though, very good players, so I can't be that mad at it. But I will say it was very high for what I think they need. Basantis, I do like, so that's when you start to see like a vision in mind for what they want to do with
Right.
these two players, especially with his run blocking. So I do see that. And honestly, let's hit the other picks before we get to Beck because we're gonna have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Um,
I like the
Caleb
Proctor pick, actually.
Proctor's so nice. I thought he'd go
I
top
like the
100.
Proctor pick a lot.
Love
I
it.
think that was great value too at 104, 105, 104.
Yeah, 104.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I'm more whatever about the Reggie Virgil pick, but you're at 140, so it's like
It's
you
fine.
got to start taking some sort of shot. I can see the upside of that. Best case scenario, they already have a great
Yeah.
wide receiver room, so it's not necessarily like, oh, if this guy fails, like this is a failed draft. No, we have a different guy for that problem. And
For
then
sure.
the last two guys, I'll let you speak a little bit more on. Like I know nothing about Jaden Williams. You're an Ole Miss guy, so I'm sure you have
Yeah.
an opinion.
Yeah, well, with Williams, I mean, he's just going to be a fine swing tackle, probably depth piece. He's not particularly great. I thought Diego Pounds was better than him, and he went undrafted. Williams is solid. I think he's a guy that's a lot more likely to just like cover his opponent than like move them. Like he just kind of blankets them, you know, and
Okay.
that's about it. So fine value right there. See what you have there. Just all right, solid value. Carson Sherrar was a guy that I didn't really watch a lot actually, but from hearing
It
the way
seems like a
people
lot of Iowa guys got taken that I was like
a,
kind of
a lot
surprised
more than I
by.
thought, man. A lot
Yeah, they
more
had a
than I
lot of
thought for
pro
sure.
caliber players on that team for how awful they were.
Apparently, apparently, man. But yeah, man, he I think he lacks the size and strength to really play through contact. But outside of that, he's fine. Now we'll get into Mr. Carson Beck. We will get into Mr. Carson Beck here.
At 65, you take Carson Beck.
I
The
mean,
25-year-old once the season starts. The guy that has an elbow issue that I don't think is going to ever be fixed, right? Like I think that
no.
what you saw last year is the best that you will get from him. You get what I'm saying? Like it's not better than that. Like the arm strength is practically gone. I mean, the balls are going to float because of that. That UCL surgery is no joke, dude. And for you to look at your board and see, I mean, listen, I'm not going to act like this was like a loaded quarterback class. I understand it was probably a divisive amongst people about like, hey, who's quarterback one, who's quarterback two? Well, not quarterback one, but
Yeah.
quarterback two, quarterback three, so on. There is no shot more than two teams had Carson back as QB3. There's
Yeah.
just no chance. You know,
Yeah.
and I say two teams because I feel like the Steelers might have been another one, but maybe that was more of the smokescreen from McCarthy. And that is such a bad process. That's a guy that I think is there in the 6th round. That's a guy that is borderline a UDFA for me in this class. I would have rather them taken a shot on Klubnik. Now, that to me tells me that they see his experience as a plus. They see a guy that they think could start right away and compete with Brissett for that job. And it just, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they had to have been thinking Ty Simpson, right? Like they had to be.
I mean, absolutely pathetic pick here. Absolutely
No
pathetic
other
pick.
word for it, man.
I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Any argument you want to make about the arm talent is gone because of the elbow. I'm sorry. It just is. This is a guy that doesn't really care about playing football either. I'm sorry, he just really doesn't.
Facts.
Unbelievably low floor and low ceiling. What are we?
Were the
What are
high
we? What
highs
are we
even
doing?
that high?
I think he was a solid game manager. I think he had those aspects to him, but that's gone. Like he's not that same player
He was
anymore.
on great teams.
He had very legitimate tape at Georgia that first and second year. Like genuinely, there was very
Yeah.
legitimate tape,
Then the
but
money
that's
got
gone
involved, I
because
would
of the elbow.
assume.
The arm talent's not there anymore, and he's much more succumbing to pressure. Like I'm sorry, what are we doing, man? This is such a low floor, lazy, pathetic pick. I hate this pick so much. I would have way rather you take a shot on.
Yeah.
God, I would have way rather, just take Drew Aller at that point. At least I'd
All
understand
right,
the
well,
grades.
easy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
No, but I totally get your thought process with it. It's like, look, like there's other guys that I would rather take a shot on, you know, because like Aller has that same experience, everything. Obviously, he didn't win the big games, but at least he's like young enough to where he could still develop and it makes sense. Like, you know, Carson Beck's 25, man. Like,
yeah, and they're gonna want him to start. And like, listen, this is the first pick in the whole draft they've given an F. This is a complete F.
whoa.
There's no value here at all. I
I
mean,
hate the pick, but I wouldn't give him an F, you know.
if I cared about what the value of an F minus is, I'd give this an F minus. I would. This is
So
absolutely.
what do you the
Well,
class?
the class itself, if it weren't for that, I would give maybe about like a C, C
Yeah, I
plus.
lean B minus without the Beck, but with Beck, I go C.
I'm gonna go D plus.
Oh man,
The Beck pick is
wow,
just so
wow.
unbelievable.
I get it though. I get it.
The Beck pick is really bad. It's
Yeah,
really awful. You might as well
yeah,
just threw that away. I'm sorry. It's awful. It's awful process. It's awful evaluation of the board. It's awful scouting. I hated that pick absolutely. It's one of the worst picks I've seen in the last couple of years. Truly. He should. If you wanted to take a shot on Beck, how about you take it in the 6th or 7th? Garrett Nussmeier, I promise you, is a better quarterback by
I
far.
agree with you on all
Like
fronts,
by far. And he went in the
but I
seventh.
think they had an awesome draft outside of Beck.
I mean, I liked Caleb Proctor a lot. Basantis is cool and Love is cool. I mean, Williams and Sherrar and Virgil are fine. So it's like I didn't have like a super strong conviction on them anyways. D plus for me. You can't do that. Um We'll get to another one I'm not a big fan of now. Atlanta.
I knew who
Uh,
you were talking about right away.
yeah, I
This
mean,
is this was summed up perfectly. I'm not sure who said it, but it was like the Atlanta Falcons had an awesome draft if you looked at a mock draft from 3 years ago.
yeah. If this was like a
They had an
2023
amazing
mock draft, yeah, yeah.
Now, I will say they didn't have many picks in this class. They only had 6. I like the story of Avion Terrell, but like the speed is very concerning.
For sure.
Very, very concerning. I think he's a lot shorter than people realize as well. So I think that he's going to have issues out the gate, but I think he went into the best landing spot for himself career wise. I mean, anytime you get to play with your brother, that's just an awesome story.
For
Always going to
sure.
root for that. You and I feel a little bit differently about Zachariah Branch. You're a little bit lower on that than I am personally. I think that's a
Absolutely.
guy that could be good. I don't think that he's guaranteed to be good. I think he needs to catch the ball first, but I think he could be good. I think his route
What's
running is
what's
good enough, and I
what's
think
it? What's
that
his ceiling though? I mean, like, what are we talking? Like,
I
I
mean
like
Kadarius Toney would be like a ceiling to me for him.
who wants that at 79?
I'm with you on that. Listen, I didn't even get into my grade. I was just saying that like I don't hate the pick. I
For
understand the
sure.
process of it at the very least. And that's a guy that some people had first round grades on. I think those people are insane, but they did.
Dude, never talk about football again if that was your opinion. My
I'm
God.
talking about
Oh
people pro
Lord.
level on their board had first round grade on him. Again, I personally find that insane, but
I
that
stand by
is
it,
on
dude.
record.
I stand by it.
I
A
following that
guy
up,
a
I
guy
don't
with a
hate the
P.
Kendall Daniels pick. Again, a guy that I think was a little bit higher coming into the season that he ended up being. But I don't hate the Kendall Daniels pick
I
at
didn't
all.
love it. I didn't love it.
Um, I personally really like the Harold Perkins pick, especially at 215. I know you didn't even have him in your top 250, if I'm not mistaken.
But no, he was like UDFA for me.
Yeah, see, so I feel a little bit differently than you on that. But then, Ontario Thompson, same thing. Like, I don't hate the pick at 208. I don't have an opinion on Onianwa just yet, but overall, like kind of middle of the class to me. I think that these guys did okay.
I like the Terrell pick, but you were right about the concerns. Branch, I didn't like. This is just a gadget player. I'm just not that moved. I don't care about gadget players, man. Malk, I Corley liked a few years ago. I don't care, man. Kendall Daniels, I just wasn't that big on. I think he lacks the take on like physicality to
I
like.
think the criticisms are fair. I'm just saying that I didn't hate the pick. I think that's a good landing spot for him.
For sure, man. Yeah, I just think he's more of like a package linebacker who's going to probably play special teams. Um, Thompson, he's kind of undersized. I love him, but it's not the worst thing ever. Harold Perkins, like we said, he's like a UDFA to me. And then Ethan Onianwa, I just don't have an opinion on. So it's a lot of just like
Meh.
nothing,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of nothing, you know. So
I lean C for them.
I lean C minus to D plus.
Okay, that's one of your most brutal classes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, man. Not good. Not good. It's not like Terrell will probably be good, but even he has concerns. So I think you could. There's a world where you could come out of this class and these are all busts. Uh, like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I was not a big fan of Atlantis. However, that's as low as the floor stays because the rest of this division is, woo. We'll start with the Carolina Panthers, man. Panthers.
sounds like
I
you didn't love
like.
this class.
You didn't love this class?
No, I'm saying it sounds like the way you were leading into it. I was a little concerned that you didn't like the class. I
No,
was going
I
to say, I
do.
was
I
like, did
do.
you
I
feel
do. Sorry if
very
my tone
differently?
was off. I
Yeah, you
do
were
like
like,
this
ugh,
pick.
I'm like, bro, they got Brazil in like the third
No, I
round.
was.
I
It
was
was more
like,
like it was more like a well, like they
I
could be
think
pretty.
their
Yeah, go ahead.
first 4 picks are all home runs. I think that Monroe Freeling, Lee Hunter, Chris Brazell, and Will Lee were all home runs.
Yeah.
Will Lee, I think they called the blanket, elite nickname.
A blanket, bro.
And I think you'll probably have more of an opinion on Sam Heck than I did. I
Oh,
think
I
if I
do.
recall, you liked him a lot. Yeah, I
Yes.
was gonna say, I was like, you really liked him a lot. I personally think that taking Wheatley at 151 is insane value.
Yeah,
That's a
it's good
guy I
value.
probably had a little bit higher, but again, the safety drop off is very real and
Yeah.
disrespect is unreal. And then
Kuwatch, I
I mean,
didn't really
their
see
seventh
much
round
of.
guy, I have no opinion on.
I didn't have much of an opinion on the question. What I'll say is Monroe Freeling, good choice there because their other tackle's getting older, and the Ike Ikwanu injury is a little bit concerning. So I understand why, and I like Freeling a lot. Lee Hunter, that's going to be awesome next to Derek Brown with Jalen Phillips, Nick Squirton. I like that, man. I like that a lot. Chris Brazzle, take a flyer on the guy. Let's see what he can be, man.
Like, why not? Like, I can't believe
Why
he was still
not?
there.
Yeah, why not, man? That's good value. Let's see what he can be. Will Lee, as we talked about, I think he could be an interesting corner for them. And they already have good corner depth now. Like they got Mike Jackson, they've got J.C. Horn, they've got guys already. And I like their safeties already too. I like Lathan Ransom, I like Trayvon Merrick, and they add Zakie Wheatley to that, which is also really good value. Literally, like outside of the seventh round pick, which who cares? I like all these picks, man. Oh, and Sam Hecht was my number one center in the class. This guy was a top
I
100
was gonna
player,
say, I was like, I remember you
top
having quite an
90,
opinion.
top 80. I think he's actually most people's center one, from what I've understood. Like that's maybe their best pick. That's that's a starting center today. Like really, I'm giving this class an A, man.
I lean A minus, but I think A is perfectly okay as well. I think these guys crushed it.
They crushed it, man. They
Charlotte
really
is
did.
becoming a sports city very
Kind
quickly.
of, dude. Kind of, man. I'm liking it,
Very
man.
excited for their future.
Absolutely, dude. I was a really big fan of this class. Like I said, man, just great value across the board. Um, let's move to another one that I really liked. New Orleans Saints, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is a really, really good one.
I
I don't know
honestly
if
thought you were talking about the other class that you really liked, so I kind of led with assumption there. So that's my bad. But this is
you.
still a great class. I think Tyson at 8 was a best case scenario. I think we talked about this. I think that was someone. I think one of us mocked him to them, and I think that fit made a
I
lot of
did
sense. I think that they were going wide receiver. They weren't going in the first round.
for sure,
But
for
then they
sure.
followed up with Christian Miller, which at
Yes,
42,
very good,
fantastic. That's right
very good.
around where I would have drafted him. And then they got Oscar Delp, who was one of my personal top tight ends. And if I'm going for,
Same.
one of the more athletic tight ends, that's the guy I'm going.
Yeah,
Um, and they got him right around that range of like that insane. The run on tight ends in that second to third round range was just unreal.
yeah,
Um,
man.
I really like the Bryce Lance pick at 136 too. Not a
Same.
guy I was taking, before the fourth round, but in the fourth round, done. I'm going for it. I
Yeah.
think the one thing I'll say about like even Barry and Brown in round 6, amazing value for what he can bring.
Good value,
A little
man.
bit
Good value.
gadgety, but if we're talking about Zachariah Branch in the 6th round, I feel like you're a little bit higher on that than you are in round 3, right? So at the
Yeah.
very least, if you're going to take a gadget player, you're taking him near the end, right? So
Also,
like
he's got speed, so like he could be a deep
right, that's what
threat.
I'm saying. So like I'm perfectly okay with taking a gadget player at that point. Like I'll say, like that's the one way I'll describe their class is they took guys where guys needed to be taken. Like they didn't reach and they didn't
I actually
really go for these guys with this crazy value. But I think they took everyone right around where I would have taken them.
Yeah, what I'll say about this class is Tyson, really good value there. And the reason why is because he's not going to have to be the number one. He's not going to have to play the X. He's going to get to be a slasher that goes downfield. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off of him to be his best self. I've said before how I feel about Tyson. I think he's just not really an X receiver. Slasher, flanker, absolutely. And I think he's going to thrive there. Him and Olave are going to do great with Shuck. And they already have a very blossoming O line. Christian Miller, awesome, awesome value there. That was some people's D tackle one. Like, that's really,
Not
really
me,
good
but I
value.
get it.
No, I get it, 100%. Oscar Delp, really like that. He's going to start like day one, man. Like, he could really be day one guy.
Easily.
Yeah, really good
They could
weapon.
throw him into the Taysom Hill role, honestly, if they
Sure,
wanted
yeah,
to.
man. Jeremiah Wright, just a good guard. I could see getting maybe some starting opportunities potentially. Bryce Lance, I think Bryce Lance is gonna start soon. I think Bryce Lance is gonna start soon. I think the starting wide receiver room
There's
is
no
gonna be
pressure on him there. That was like a best case scenario.
and he's going to be legit, man. I mean, he is really good at playing the X receiver role. I mean, you could literally just have your starting three be Olave, Tyson, and Lance, and I am super moved by that. I like that a lot. Lorenzo Styles, he's okay, but like that's fine value. It's fine value
100%.
right there. Just
100%. Right where I would have drafted him if I'm going to take
yeah.
a guy.
Barry and Brown, just see what you have as deep threat. They don't have a lot of wide receiver depth. And then I like a lot TJ Hall at 219. I think he should have gone a little bit higher. I think he should have gone to like the 150s.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think he was very underrated this corner. I'd love to see what he can turn into. I think he could be a great nickel for them. So I do really, really like that. I'm gonna give this class an A minus.
A minus. Okay. I mean, I'm probably right around there, maybe closer to the B plus range, just because
Okay.
again, based on like they really just kind of like settled right in where they were on their board, and that's fine,
Yeah.
right? But you know, I mean, you could argue A minus for sure. I think that they had a very, very good draft. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a big fan of this draft. I thought it was really good. I just think I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five, maybe six starters out of this, man, and that's really good. I really,
Never
really like
complain about
that.
that from a draft class.
Yeah, yeah. And then the last one we have here is
Last and
well,
certainly not least, if you ask Jack.
certainly not least the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, who just
Ruben
hit
Bang at 15, home run.
home
Probably, you know, we
run.
keep talking about best case scenarios. That was genuinely like they were praying for some sort of scenario where that happened. I believe ESPN played some sort of stat that said like 12% chance of
Yeah,
that occurring. So they were all in on that.
for sure.
I really like the Trotter pick too. I think that's a really
Same.
good landing spot for him. You know, I know you're a lot higher on Ted Hurst than I am personally. But I think that, you know, that's a great pick at that spot at 84, based on the hype that he was getting too. I think that was a great pick. Keontae Scott at 116, like chef's kiss, right? Like you just got
Chef's
like the
kiss.
two, arguably the two best defenders from that Miami defense, and now you're just going to slot them right in, and they're both going to be able to start right away. At least I would hope Scott could start right away, considering he's like 25 or 26 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. Yeah,
Uh,
no, I mean, I was like unbelievably big fan of this class. Ruben Main, as we talked about, unbelievable value, A plus.
Unreal.
Trotter, right there, really, really good. He's going to be that box guy. He's going to be one of those guys that it can also cover pretty well. Like, I think they're gonna the way that they're gonna use him is gonna be really fascinating. I really like the Trotter pick. Ted Hurst, I think, is an awesome, awesome value. I think Ted Hurst is so underrated. I think unbelievably underrated. The skill set that this guy has is genuinely such uber upper athlete type stuff. Like the acceleration, the deacceleration. A guy his size to move the way he does is insane. Is
I've
just
seen the
genuine.
comparison to George Pickens.
He plays like Pickens. He plays like Pickens for sure. He's more of a Z though to me. He's more of a flanker. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if he reaches his floor, he could at worst be like wide receiver three. His
30-minute
ceiling,
video from Jack on Ted Hurst coming soon.
I have one already. That's coming up. Yeah, because because he's like probably the biggest X factor low key in this entire draft. I'll be honest with you, because his ceiling, if he reaches the true potential of his ceiling, like the highest outcome of what he could be is like their wide receiver one. Like
Crazier things have been said.
the highest possible crazy outcome is he becomes wide receiver one of the team.
Crazier things have been said, Jack.
And the most realistic outcome is that the future is Ibuka as the one and then him as the two, and they're a really awesome dynamic 1-2 punch, which is really good to get at 84, man. I mean, very similar to like a Torrey Horton last year, but I think he's got way more juice.
Yeah, a little
But
bit faster.
way faster. Like I am super super high on Hurst. Keontae Scott. I mean, he's a very specific player, and there's no better specific player to go to Tampa than him. I mean, really, really good. I mean, the way that they're going to use him as a blitzing, like nickel type, is going to be so cool to see. It's going to open up a lot more pathways along with Bane for them to let their guys just kind of sit in coverage. And the biggest problem with Tampa has been their coverage. But this is how they fix that, because you get a guy like this that's going to put so much more pressure on the quarterback alongside Bane. I'm so excited to see the way they use him and Trotter. Like, there's going to be such interesting blitz packages. And then they get Demonte Capehart, who has like a high ceiling as a T tackle, man. He's not super young. He's a little bit older, but I think he's got
Right.
really good. He's got really good run blocking. He's big, broad, super long, heavy hands. Really impressive power in his upper half. He can play through super weaker, like lesser guards. I really like him, man. I really like him. I love to see what he can do on this defensive line. Even if he's just like a certain down and distance kind of guy, he's going to have impact, man. Absolutely. And then Billy Schrauth, such good value for a guy who can instantly be a starting guard. Absolutely, by far.
How I know you'd have an opinion on Philly Stroud.
Yeah, I like Billy Schrauth a lot. I think he's really great. I think he can instantly start for you at guard. I truly do. That's really high end starters that they possibly have here.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's not a lot of picks, man. It's six.
No,
It's
making the
six
most,
picks.
making the
Six.
most of a little. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And so for me, It's the first class I'm giving an A+.
A plus. So the
We're going A
last
plus on
really
this,
was
man.
the best for you. I was
Yeah.
going to say closer to an A minus.
Okay.
But you could have argued for me in an A factor. But like if I'm looking at their class and Carolina's class, I'm kind of leaning Carolina between those two.
I
But
like
it's
their
like
class
you
better
said. I mean, they had 6 picks and they nailed it on all 6 picks. So it's hard to deny that.
for sure. I just think the value of the players that they got is a lot more like,
Right.
whoa,
I
these
totally get where
guys.
you're coming from.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally get it.
So personally, to me, that's an A+. What about you?
I mean, like I said, I think I'm more lean toward the A minus side. But I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, that rounds out both of our drafting grades of both the AFC and the NFC. What do you think overall about the NFC?
The NFC, I think there was a lot more over the board, just like this. While with the
For
AFC,
sure.
we were kind of steady with our rankings. They were all kind of
Yeah,
B's and C's. No one was doing anything too crazy. But with the NFC, they were like, yeah, let's get Caleb Banks at 18.
there was an
Yeah, let's take
AFC.
Stribling at 33. Like it was
Yeah,
just a lot more craziness. So, I
yeah.
mean, that would be the one word I'd use to describe the NFC side as crazy.
I would use volatile. Yeah, yeah, volatile,
Yeah.
volatile, man. Like I was a fan of a lot of the drafts in here. There were some that were like surprisingly the NFC West. I ended up being like, man, what are any of you doing? No, what are any of you ever doing? Yeah, I just I ended up super low on that division, man.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys are all gonna still be good, which is the funny part. But man, you guys don't draft good. You guys just
NFC East carried.
NFC East carry. Oh, and South, and South.
NFC South did to an extent, but NFC East
Atlanta didn't do their end of the
carried
bargain.
that value. Atlanta did not do their part, sir.
No, they did not. No, they did not. So yeah, man. I mean, super interesting. We were talking about this off air, but we're gonna probably have a video coming out in maybe like the next week or so, talking about like what do we think message wise was sent with a lot of these teams. This idea kind of came from Robert Mays. He did one at the Athletic, and I think it's a really interesting idea to just kind of talk about certain things of messages we think were driven across with certain teams. Yeah, I mean, whether that be, I think there's really interesting messages from San Fran, Jacksonville. To a
I can
degree,
tell you
Philly.
a message sent directly without having to do a video on it. I can tell you a message that was sent directly from the NFL to the G6 schools. Yeah, transfer up if you want to
Yeah,
get drafted. That was probably the biggest loser of this entire draft, or any G6 teams thinking they're going to have guys graduating that have pro potential. Like, that's just not realistic to think at all in the NIL era.
yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm super curious to see where a lot of these visions end up going. Like I said, we'll have a video talking about this, going pretty in depth. But yeah, man, interesting draft this year. Very, very, very
Definitely.
interesting. Super, super interesting. And then we're gonna have some videos kind of in the next couple of weeks here as we talk about the 2027 class. If I kind of had to end this off with any like opinions about so far of what 2027 will be, you and I have talked quite a bit of it off air.
Elite.
It's it's gonna be really good.
Elite.
And I know that every year we do the thing where we're like, well, check out next year's class. It's always been different for 2027. It's always been
Yeah.
very different for 2027.
Yeah.
Like 2027 is like a very specifically like
Elite. If
I
your GM does not land an all-star in the first round, you should fire your GM. That's how crazy
yeah,
your
we're
class
getting
is.
we're getting to that point. And what's crazy is we're still waiting for other guys to have random breakouts because it always happens. We haven't even gotten to this final year here for this class. There's always random breakouts. We haven't even gotten to those yet. Like receiver wise, next year's class is super interesting. Obviously, as people know, Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman, but along with that, Amarion Miller at Arizona State. I think he could play himself into being one of those tier one guys, man. I think he could end up playing himself into a top 10 pick. Nick Marsh at Indiana, same thing, man.
It's not
Top
crazy
10
to
pick.
say that. It's
All
not
four of those
crazy.
guys are like unbelievable 3-level receivers that can play X, play Z, play slot, that also have ridiculous juice after the catch, which is kind of funny for their size because they're all big X receivers, but they have crazy juice. Outside of those four guys, there's like an Omar Cooper 2.0 in this class and Amari Thomas. I'm super interested in. You have the two Clemson guys, Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore. Super curious about the two of them. I think they could potentially go first round.
You also have the
Obviously,
linebacker from Clemson as well, whose name is escaping me
I know
right
who
now.
you're talking
Sammy
about.
Brown. Sammy Brown.
Sammy Brown. Also receiver wise, You've got potentially Micah Hudson if he ends up coming out in this class, and Evan Stewart. I do really like both of those guys. Evan Stewart in spring practice.
Shoot, we borderline just named 32 guys. So NFL scouts start writing them
Start
down.
writing it down.
All right.
Start writing it down. Also, Charlie Becker, like that's just Jordy Nelson 2.0. And then on top of that, man, like the quarterbacks. I mean, I'll tell you this early on before we get into these summer scouting things.
Yeah.
I have Arch Manning graded as like a similar prospect to Drake May and Caleb Williams.
Yeah, we'll
And that's
definitely be discussing that because I think there's definitely a debate to be had there.
and that's not just because of the name. The tape just backs it up. I'm sorry, it does. Sorry. Like this dude's got.
I think that he has a lot to prove next year, and I think it'll be exciting to watch happen in real time. I think that we have a lot to be excited about NFL wise. I think that there's a lot up in the air, AFC and NFC wise, that I'm really excited to watch play out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, we're gonna have some videos coming out as we talk about summer scouting, just talking about where are these guys at right now. What do we hope for the 2026 season for them? What do they need to reach in order to hit those upper echelons for them in the draft? All that kind of stuff. What those outlooks look like, as well as just talking about college football in general. So, yeah, man, that's gonna do it for this episode. We appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.